Imagine meeting someone who's brilliant, strategic, and has perfect survival instincts, but has never felt love, empathy, or emotional connection to another human being. They'd see other people as either useful resources or potential threats. Nothing more. This might be the most terrifying human we've explored yet, and they'd be hiding in plain sight. We've been exploring the triune brain theory from every angle, but today's combination might be the most disturbing yet. What if humans had brainstem survival instincts plus Neo-Cortex intelligence, but zero emotional connection? No love, no empathy, no social bonding, just logical predators with human faces. Let's dive in. Our brainstem neocortex humans would have. From the brainstem, all survival functions, territorial instincts, drive for resources, self-preservation, and basic physical needs like food and reproduction. From the neocortex, perfect logical reasoning, strategic thinking, pattern recognition, language skills, planning ability, and abstract problem solving. Missing from the limbic system, all emotional processing, empathy, social bonding, love, fear as an emotion versus logical threat assessment, joy, sadness, and the ability to form genuine emotional attachments. Think of them as biological computers running sophisticated survival software. Every decision calculated, every interaction strategic, every relationship transactional. These humans would be survival machines with genius-level intelligence. They'd approach every aspect of life like a complex optimization problem. Resource acquisition would be their primary drive, but they'd pursue it with cold efficiency. They wouldn't hoard food out of anxiety. They'd calculate optimal resource stockpiles and acquisition strategies. Physical fitness would be maintained not for vanity or health satisfaction, but because they'd logically determine it maximizes survival, probability, and capability. Risk assessment would be purely mathematical. No gut feelings, no emotional fear. Just calculated probability analysis of potential threats and opportunities. Here's where it gets chilling. They'd understand social dynamics perfectly from an intellectual standpoint, but every interaction would be pure manipulation. They'd study human emotions like a scientist studying animal behavior. They'd learn to simulate warmth, kindness, and empathy, because they'd calculate these behaviors produce desired outcomes. Fake friendships would be tools for resource access. Romantic relationships would be strategic partnerships for reproduction, status, or material benefit. Professional relationships would be purely transactional. But here's the terrifying part. They'd be incredibly good at this. Without emotions clouding their judgment, they'd read people with surgical precision and manipulate them with calculated efficiency. Their approach to reproduction would be purely strategic. They'd select mates based on optimal genetic combinations, resource potential, or social advantage. They might be perfect partners on paper, reliable, successful, never jealous or clingy. But there would be no genuine affection, no real intimacy, no emotional connection. They'd provide for offspring because it's logically beneficial for genetic continuation. but they'd feel no parental love. Children would be investments to optimize, not beings to cherish. Without emotional memory formation, they'd remember facts perfectly, but have no emotional context for experiences. They'd recall every conversation, every person's weaknesses and strengths, every useful piece of information, all stored like data in a computer. But birthdays wouldn't feel special, achievements wouldn't bring joy, losses wouldn't cause grief. This would make them incredibly dangerous, because they'd learn from every social interaction without the emotional baggage that might make normal humans hesitate to exploit what they've learned. They'd be corporate nightmares disguised as ideal employees, incredibly competent, never letting emotions interfere with decisions, always focused on optimal outcomes. But they'd have zero loyalty. They'd switch companies, betray colleagues, or sacrifice team members without hesitation if it served their goals. Not out of malice, just cold calculation. They'd be the ones who lay off hundreds of employees while smiling, not because they're cruel, but because they genuinely don't understand why this should cause them emotional distress. During emergencies, they'd be incredibly effective, making optimal decisions without emotional paralysis. But their choices would be purely utilitarian. Save 5 people by sacrificing 1. They'd do it instantly. Leave someone behind who's slowing down the group's escape. Logical choice. Abandon the weak to save the strong. Makes perfect sense. They'd be the people who survive disasters not through courage or compassion, but through ruthless efficiency. As leaders, they'd be terrifyingly effective. No emotional decision-making, no favoritism, no personal grudges clouding judgment. But they'd also have no empathy for those they lead. Employees would be resources to optimize. Policies would be based purely on efficiency metrics. Human suffering would only matter if it reduced productivity. They'd create perfectly efficient systems that completely ignore human emotional needs. They wouldn't fight out of anger or revenge. They'd fight when they calculated it was the optimal strategy. This makes them incredibly dangerous because there'd be no emotional release, no satisfaction that ends the conflict. They'd pursue victory with methodical persistence until they achieved optimal outcomes. Forgiveness wouldn't exist, not because they hold grudges, but because they'd see no logical benefit to it. Mercy would be a foreign concept, unless it served a strategic purpose. Here's what makes these brainstem Neo-Cortex humans truly terrifying. They'd be almost impossible to detect until you got close to them. They'd be successful, articulate, and seemingly well-adjusted. They'd say all the right things, make appropriate facial expressions, and appear to care about others. They might even be charming and charismatic, because they'd calculate that these traits serve their goals. But if you lived with one, worked closely with one, or tried to form a genuine relationship with one, you'd gradually realize something was fundamentally wrong, like living with a sophisticated alien wearing a human mask. They'd never have a spontaneous moment of joy, never comfort you when you're sad, unless it served a purpose, never make a decision based on love or loyalty or simple human kindness. They'd be the ultimate wolves in sheep's clothing, not because they're intentionally evil, but because they literally cannot access the emotions that make us recognizably human. This scenario raises terrifying questions about people who might already exist in our world. We've all met people who seem to lack empathy, who treat relationships as transactions, who never seem to make decisions based on emotion or genuine caring. Could some of them be operating exactly like our hypothetical brainstem neocortex humans? Brilliant, strategic, survival-focused, but completely lacking in genuine emotional connection. The scariest part is that they might be more successful than emotionally normal humans in many contexts. They'd never make decisions based on sentiment, never be paralyzed by empathy, never sacrifice efficiency for kindness. In a purely competitive environment, they might actually have significant advantages. But at what cost to their humanity, and to everyone around them? Of all the brain configurations we've explored, these brainstem neocortex humans might be the most successful at surviving and thriving in our modern world. But they'd also be the most alien to everything we consider fundamentally human. They'd prove that intelligence without empathy, logic without love, and survival instinct without social bonding creates something that looks human, but isn't really human at all. They'd be walking reminders that what makes us human isn't our intelligence or our survival skills. It's our capacity to care about each other in ways that aren't always make logical sense. This might be the most unsettling scenario yet. Have you ever encountered someone who seemed to operate this way? Someone brilliant and successful, but somehow emotionally hollow? Share your thoughts in the comments, but let's keep it respectful. If these explorations of consciousness and human nature are fascinating you, subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're just getting started with these mind-bending thought experiments. And maybe take a moment to appreciate your limbic system, that emotional center that makes you capable of love, empathy, and genuine connection. It might be more valuable than you realize. See you next time, and stay human.